Alright, so we're going to introduce our first of the repetitive statements in C++. That's for our loops, and that's going to be the while loop. Most basic loop, and very commonly used loop for several things, as we'll see in other videos. But the basic syntax looks a lot like an if statement. Alright, so we're going to create a simple program here using my variable x, and we'll initialize x to actually 0. And while statement, simply the keyword while, some condition between parentheses, and then curly brackets, which, like the if statement, are optional. We'll talk about that and show you that in a second. And we're going to set up a condition here for a while. How long will this loop go for? What condition does it need to become false for it to stop? Just like the if statement, similar to the if statement. So let's say as long as x is less than 5. Right, and to start, we set it to 0, so x is x less than 5? Yes, so that is true. So while this is true, we keep looping, and it's going to do all the statements between these two curly brackets. So let's do a cout statement to show something's going on in there. Alright, and we'll output hello, space, and also the value of x. And we'll see x changing as we go along that way. But x needs to change for the loop to eventually end. So this loop ends once x becomes greater than 5, or equal to 5, because the condition is just checking as long as it's less than 5, we keep looping. So as long as the condition is true, it loops. It'll keep iterating these statements, doing them over and over again. As soon as x becomes 5 in this case, or greater than 5, the program ends. We're only adding 1 to it, so it's going to end when it hits 5. Very simple loop there, but I'll run it again. And when using our incrementer here, it doesn't matter whether it's pre or post, because it's one statement, it's not used in combination with anything else. Right, so our output should output 5 statements, and there they are. Hello, right, with x of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we can see that x is changing each pass, so it executes this statement, that statement comes back and checks the condition. This is what we call a pre-test loop. Alright, so x is less than 5, so it goes ahead and does the loop, increments it, comes back up to here to check the condition again. X will be 1, so is that 1 less than 5? Yes, so it executes 2 statements, comes back up again. Now x is 2, and it does the execution again. Right, so it does this multiple times, 5 times in this case, until it finally ends. Right, and the pre and post won't matter. Right, it's incrementing by 1, that's why it does it 5 times. So let's say I'm going to make x equal x plus 2. So we go by 2, so we should get less outputs this time. And the value of x will eventually get greater than 5. It won't be 5, but it will end once it is greater than 5. Alright, so we'll take a look at that output there. Alright, oops, sorry, lost my studio in the background. There we go. And there's the output. Alright, so again, we start with x at 0. It's less than 5, so it output hello and x, which is 0. Takes 0, adds 2 to it, makes it 2. 2 is still less than 5. Outputs that on the screen. Increments x again by 2, so it's already 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, so x is 4. It's still less than 5, so it outputs hello with the number 4. Comes down, increments 4 plus 2 is now 6. 6 is not less than 5, so it ends. Right? So in these two examples, you see it ends at 5 and ends at 6, or anything greater than 5. So once the condition is false, the loop stops. Right? It's a pre-test, meaning that it's going to check the value of x before it does anything. Right? So let's run this one more time, and this time we're going to set x equal to 5. And this output should have nothing on the screen because x is starting at 5, so x is greater than 5. Right, it's not less than 5, so it's not going to go in the loop at all. So it jumps down to here at the end of the loop and continues. As we see with the output here, there's nothing outputted on the screen. So the condition is false immediately, so it jumps and comes down to the end of the curly bracket. And this is why the curly bracket is important. Alright. If we were to leave off the curly brackets, just like in an if statement, the while statement is only connected to the cout statement. X will still be, this statement will still execute, even though I have it indented, right? Indenting means nothing. It's the curly brackets that control what is in a block of code. So just like an if statement, a while statement, or any of the other for loops, or any of the other loops, if there's no curly brackets, only one statement that follows, the immediate statement after it, is part of the loop. So in this case, this loop will won't go in there and print anything, right, because x is greater than is equal to 5, but it will still add 2 to it and then end the program. I put in a cout statement here, we can see that. So let's do that. I'll put the value of x. Alright, so based on this, we should see only one output, and x should be 7. Right, let that compile. Alright, so again, the indentation means nothing. It's all about the curly brackets. Alright, and here's your output. We see the 7. Alright, so it executed this even though this condition was false. Alright, so curly brackets are very important. Alright, just like they are in if statements.